Hey guys, I'm back, and this time I'm going to talk a little about defensive tackles. Just going down that D line right there. Alright, let's see what Seattle's sporting up the middle. Alright, I'm going to start with our probably, in my opinion anyway, best defensive tackle, Marcus Tubbs. First round pick in 2004 out of Texas. We expected big things from this guy, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. Let's see. He's been in the league for 3 seasons, so he could have played in a possible 48 different games. He's only played in 29. Hasn't played a full season yet. He was good in 2005, 40 tackles, 5.5 sacks. But his value on this team is more in the fact that he weighs 320 pounds, which is by a considerable amount our heaviest defensive tackle. So he acts as the nose tackle when he plays, the guy who is supposed to plug up the middle. The guy who eats up 2 or 3 blockers, and when he plays, he does a pretty good job. But he's coming off surgery, and he keeps getting hurt, so he's got to recover and stay healthy this year, or we're going to have to start looking elsewhere for our run stuffer. So, very important that he stays healthy. Then you got Rocky Bernard. He was like a big steal out of the 2002 draft. He's been a pretty good pass rusher from the defensive tackle spot in his 5-year career so far. In 2005, he had 8.5 sacks. I think that was, half a sack behind Bryce Fisher. He played the run very well that year as well. And then in the playoffs, he had 2 sacks against Carolina that were, very important in us winning that game. So, great 2005, underrated contributor to our Super Bowl run. And then last year, 3.5 sacks, had one in the playoffs, fell off the wagon a little bit. I think it was because Tubbs wasn't there to, protect him and allow him to do what he does, because last year he didn't play the run well, and he didn't rush very well, so something wasn't right last year. But he can recover. He just needs Tubbs to stay healthy. He'll get back to form. Underrated player. Keep an eye on him. Behind him, you got Chuck Darby. He was in Tampa, part of a little rotation when Sapp and McFarland, when they won the Super Bowl, came here in '05. Contributed a bit to our Super Bowl run. Has 6 sacks over the last 2 years for us. Just kind of rotates in every now and then. He's a lightweight, so more of a pass rusher. Does a pretty good job at that, but he's just a role player, so I don't want him starting. If he's starting, we got a problem. I just want him to come in pass rushing situations. Next, you got Russell Davis, guy we picked out of Arizona last year. Didn't really get any attention because he didn't do that much, didn't get very many opportunities, but he got 3 sacks. So when he did get in, he did make a couple plays, had 30 tackles. Can't complain about that. Was a pretty cheap free agent signing for depth and panned out pretty well. So I'll accept him as the 4th guy. Then you got Marcus Green and a couple of these guys that just really haven't ever done all that much. I don't think they deserve very. I don't even know if they'll make the roster. Craig Terrell, special teamer, occasionally gets into the lineup and plays a little bit. Hasn't done much except last year when we played Oakland. He had 3 sacks in that game. We had 9 that game. So that was awful nice. And I guess if he wants to come in every now and then, just for the purpose of letting the starters rest, that's cool. He's not a bad player. Finally, we got Brandon Mabane, the 3rd-round rookie. And if Tubbs doesn't work out or he goes down, this is the guy we're depending on because he's 310 pounds, which isn't extremely heavy when you look around the league, but he can play the nose tackle position and eat up blockers and free up other players. So when we want to really stop the run, we're going to go the defensive tackle package of Tubbs and Mabane. And if Tubbs doesn't work out, we're going to really depend on this third-round rookie. And I like him. He's done well in camp so far, so I hear. We're very deep at defensive tackle. We don't have that superstar because, for one reason or another, these guys just can't play consistently. They have these problems. But it's a very deep group. I'm going to give it a B+, just because Tubbs is a big question mark at this point, and if he doesn't work out, we might be in a bit of trouble. If he does work out, this is a great set of defensive tackles. B+. So, let's talk about defensive tackles a little bit real quick. When you're playing in a 4-3 defense, you got two defensive tackles, and usually what will happen is one of them plays the nose tackle role, meaning they're expected to try and eat up as many blockers as they can to free up other players. Don't worry about getting the tackle or the sack, just let the other guys make those plays and try and take up a center and a guard. And then the other defensive tackle will usually be a little lighter, a little quicker than the other guy who's usually fat and slow. And he's going to try and get after the quarterback. He's going to try and, get to the running back. Whoever has the ball, he's going to just go after him, not worry so much about eating up his running lane. Prime example of that would be Tampa Bay. When they won the Super Bowl, they had Anthony McFarland playing the nose tackle role and Warren Sapp being the pass rushing defensive end. So those are really the two types of defensive ends there are out there in the 4-3. The best nose tackle defensive ends in the league right now would include, I think, Terrell Sands in Oakland. Then you got actually two guys in Minnesota. They use a pure run-stuffing defensive tackle tandem in Kevin Williams and Pat Williams. Another big guy. You got Corey Simon in Indianapolis if he can ever get back on the horse. You got the two guys in Jacksonville, John Henderson and Marcus Stroud. You got Ted Washington, 370-pound guy or something in Cleveland. And then you got and as for the pass rushing defensive ends, the best in the league is probably Warren Sapp. He's not even 300 pounds, but he can get after that quarterback. I think he's going to pass 100 sacks this year if he stays healthy pretty easily. Keep an eye on that. Then you got Tommy Harris in Chicago, young guy, lots of potential. Plays like Warren Sapp. Detroit, you got Corey Redding, and if you catch him on the right day, Sean Rogers can be that guy. He's actually kind of a two-way defensive tackle. He can play the run and rush the passer. Another example of that would be Chris Jenkins in Carolina. And actually, Tommy Harris is actually reasonably sized as well, but he's more of a blitzer. And then when you switch to a 3-4 defense, you got one defensive tackle, nose tackle, and really his job is to eat up blockers and guard his running lane. There are three nose tackles in the 3-4 in the NFL that compete for the best in the league title, and you got Casey Hampton in Pittsburgh, who would probably be my pick for the best. But right behind him, you've got Vince Wilfork in New England and Jamal Williams in San Diego, so it's a very tough. There's no such thing as a run. There's no such thing as a pass rushing nose tackle in the 3-4, in my opinion. There might be, but I don't think you can really pass rush that often from that position in the 3-4. So yeah, okay, real quick. Best defensive tackle in the league, I'm going to go with Kevin Williams in Minnesota. Guy's a beast. He can rush the passer pretty well. Did better 2 years ago, but he can still rush the passer pretty well now and play the run extremely well. Testament to that run defense in Minnesota. Underrated defensive tackle would be, I don't know. Corey Redding in Detroit. Guy is a beast. I like him. Best tandem in the league, the Williams brothers in Minnesota. Overrated defensive tackle would be Chris Jenkins, and breakout player this year, I'm going with Mbio Okoye, the rookie. Alright, I'm out.